Hello and good morning to another episode of Pro Advice. And when I mean is pro, I have a pro today, like always. So our subject today is a lot of time we get the question from our client that Sean, what's going on with the insurance? Because we did see a lot of changes happen recently with the insurance. And why not to ask the pro? Let's know from him. And our guest today is Robin Lewis from Robin Lewis Insurance Organizations. And let's get to know him first and see what he has to say about 2021 homeowners insurance right now. So Robin, welcome to the show.
Hey, Sean, thank you. So good to be here with you. I appreciate what you are doing and educating your viewers today, and all as you do always.
Thank you very much. So, Robin, my first question is, because I know you for sure, your insurance business, also your leadership and all the stuff. So let's give a little bit of a heads up to our audience here, who you are, how long you are with the insurance industry, and where you are, your business, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. And I'll be brief here. So I've been in the insurance business now since 1982. So for 38 years. Nice. I started out in the life and health insurance field and was rookie of the year. I enjoyed working with people. I appreciated the opportunity of developing something for myself and helping people to secure their assets. And I actually started our firm, Robin Lewis Insurance, in 1995. So we just celebrated 25 years. Wow. All of it here in South Florida. So
congratulations. That's good to know.
Thank you.
That's perfect.
So I'm married, Sean. I my wife Edna and I celebrated 33 years of marriage, and I appreciate her very much. She's truly my support. My number one, and together we have a daughter, Jillian, and our son-in-law, Eric.
Oh, perfect. That's good. That's good to know. So, that's what I love about. It's not about just doing a business or having a business. You really have passion for it. Look how long you're doing this. You're not hopping around from one business to other business or one service to other service, and that shows that your dedication to the community with your service. So that's awesome. That's very, very good to know. Now, Robin, we saw as a real estate realtor or being in real estate, we saw a lot of changes happen last 2 years or so in the insurance industry. And also the COVID and different things, of course. So what's going on in 2021, being in beginning of February? So what do you want our audience to know about homeowners insurance? What's going on? Any update?
Yeah, that's a great question and a great opportunity. The first thing I want to share, it's not necessarily for 2021, but just as a reminder to your viewers, Sean, what insurance does, is particularly in the real estate market. I think a lot of times we look at insurance and we think about it as something that we need to close. In fact, insurance is one of those things that most people pay and they don't want to use. And so most people don't want to pay it. Most people don't want to talk about insurance. And so I always like to take the opportunity to remind people. I had a client, for example, that had a party at their home. And one of their guests had a little bit too much to drink, and when they were driving home, they got into an accident, and the bottom line is they sued my client. Wow. And their insurance was there to help them, for their defense, and also they paid out a large sum. The company paid out a large sum. Or I can remind you of another client that had their home burned down. It started as a kitchen fire, and they couldn't get it under control, and ended up being a total loss, and insurance was there for them to take care of that. And I could go on. I can tell you about the clients that were traumatized in Hurricane Andrew. I'll never forget it. and how the insurance was there to help them, through this trauma. Some of them were left in, their bathtubs, everything else around them crashing down, and they were kind of huddled down, hunkered down in some little small room somewhere. They feared their life, and how much it meant to me and to them to receive a check, for example, that they could go buy food or arrange for a place to stay. And so I just like to remind people that that's what insurance is all about. I'm that guy that people don't really like to see until, if and when, they have a need. And so, so what's kind of happening in our market now, and thank you for allowing me to just put that in there, Shawn. Well, what's happening in our market now, it's a very, very, what we call, Shawn, a very hard market. What has happened is that a lot of insurance companies have either stopped writing, especially in the South Florida marketplace. Florida in general is hard, but especially South Florida, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties. And what has happened is companies have stopped writing insurance or raised their rates significantly, or a combination of the two, and also tightened up underwriting. So they've made it, more, it's more strict guidelines to allow fewer people to get the insurance. So what is happening now is that most of the insurance that's being written in the South Florida area is being written through Citizens Property Insurance.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I think the Citizen is the one of the biggest provider in Florida, isn't it?
Yeah, they are a company that was set up to be a company of last resort.
Okay.
And in 2008, when we had somewhat of a restriction on insurance also, they became the primary, right? A lot of companies had stopped writing and during that period, and they became the number one. Subsequent to that, they have been able to reduce a lot of their policies and put it off into the private market. And so the private market was thriving up until, as you said, Shawn, the last year and a half or so. And so they are gaining to the tune of 3,000 policies a week are being added to Citizens right now. So if things don't change, we are going to see them growing in the number of policies and become, one of the larger portfolio holders here in Florida.
Great. It's good to know. Now, this is my question. So from the homeowner point of view, or someone who is buying a home, what do you suggest for us to do being a homeowner before even we, reaching out to insurance company to get an insurance? So is there particular things we need to know about electrical system or plumbing system so we can get a good insurance, price and like a better insurance for a good price?
Yeah, that's another great question. And it's one of those things that companies do look at. One of the reasons for the market, the hardened market, the way that it is right now, is because there's a lot of litigation taking place, Shawn, in the last few years, significantly higher than what it's been before. And what has happened is that people, third parties have targeted insurance, targeted the consumer and targeted the insurance companies to try to take advantage of situations. And it's created a significant payout. And oftentimes it happens around the roofs and then also water damage.
Wow, okay.
So those two have become key factors that I think people can key in on from an insurance standpoint. It's unfortunate, but with the roofs, Shawn, there's no question about it. The roofs wear down over time.
Yes.
That's why roofs have a certain life expectancy.
Right.
And so the insurance companies find, it's just a matter of they find this as they look at the data, that the older roofs tend to be the ones that go quicker, right? Because they've worn down.
Yeah.
And so what has happened is a lot of times these companies, and it's unfortunately, they have created a sales force, and these sales force, through tremendous marketing efforts, they send out stuff in the mail. I got something here I can show if we have the opportunity, soliciting you. They come knocking on your door. You have big advertising, billboard advertising around this. We can get you a new roof. We can get you a new bathroom, a new kitchen, and so on. And what has happened is that there's a lot of claims being settled through lawsuits, litigation. This has increased the amount of payout. And unfortunately, a lot of the payout goes to these attorneys and not so much goes to the consumers. But as a result of that, the insurance companies have had to raise rates. They've had to put restrictions on there. And, two of the things that they would need to look at, Shawn, is the roof. Look at the roof age. Look at the condition of the roof. That's a big factor today when it comes to insurance. As you do inspections on the properties, you want to find out the life expectancy and the condition of that. And then the other one is, the water, the plumbing, the appliances, the condition of your AC, your water heater, your washer dryer, your plumbing underneath the sinks, that type of thing, because that's another thing that they have abused, if you will, for lack of a better word, in terms of their, proactive approach towards, this litigation. And so that's something I would say they look at. There's so much to look at, but those two things kind of jump out.
Yeah, of course.
You Shawn, you're aware of the 4-point.
4-point, yes.
Right?
Yes, I was just going to ask you on that.
Yeah, so the 4 points that the companies look at, especially with homes that are older homes, typically 30 years old and older, they find that if these 4 things haven't been updated and aren't in good working order and have a certain amount of life expectancy, that they can cause higher risk in terms of potential loss. So the 4 things are your roof, your plumbing and heating, your electrical. So your roof, your plumbing, your heating, and electrical. Those are the 4 things that they kind of want to take a look at.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, we always suggest our buyers to get that 4-point inspection done at the time of the homeowners, the home inspection. So that's the way, it's kind of cheaper also, because you're getting both inspection at the same time. So inspector doesn't have to come twice to take those special pictures. You can actually explain that a little bit more, but from my knowledge, when it comes to 4-point inspection and a regular inspection is in the 4-point, they go a little bit more details. For example, on the roof, like, what kind of nail they use or what kind of joint they use, and all those very, very detailed, on those 4 items, and again, to mention it, that's the roof, electrical, plumbing, and the air conditioning system.
Correct.
Those are, the major component of a home, and those are the one breaks. Those are the one get damaged.
Yeah.
So definitely, we always suggest to get the 4-point inspection done.
Yes.
Now, what kind of percentage of savings you see between, say, somebody they don't provide a 4-point inspection, and then someone provide a clear, good 4-point inspection, or even a termite certification and so what kind of savings they can have? Like, say, suppose I have a house already and I say, what, let me just dig through, and let me do a little bit repair here and there, get an inspector over, get a clear, good report, and then send it to my. So what kind of savings we see we can percentage wise,
Yes, another really good question, and Shawn, there are 2 inspections that you mentioned that you encourage your clients to get, and I just want to touch on the other one, which is the wind mitigation inspection. So you have your 4-point. Your 4-point, in most cases where you have a home that's 30 years old and older, is required by the company. So insurance is about managing risk. So one of the things that they can do is manage the risk, right, by looking at those 4 things. And it's good for the consumer, the potential homeowner, or the existing homeowner to consider those things too. So that one is usually required. And the difference in that one can make, Shawn, is whether they can even get insurance or not. So not only price, but if some of those things are unsatisfactory or they don't have a certain amount of life expectancy, right now, the way that the market stands, a lot of carriers won't even write them. So that's one important thing for your viewers to know. The other inspection, though, is the one where they can get savings. The other inspection is the one called the wind mitigation inspection. Now, essentially, what they're looking at on that one is they want to know the features that the home has to help minimize or mitigate against storm damage. Shawn, one of the main threats that we have to our homes down here in South Florida is storm damage, right? Hurricane, the threat of hurricane. It can, if a Category 5 hurricane comes through most areas in Florida, it's very unlikely that the homes are going to hold up, right? And so there's going to be significant damage in the path of a Category 5 or 4 hurricane.
Right.
Even 3, but certainly
So,
catastrophic with 4 and 5. And so what happens, though, is that homes can have features to help minimize that. And so one of those things, for example, are storm shutters or impact windows and doors. And so if the homes are equipped where they either have storm shutters covering all the openings, or they have doors and windows that are impact rated, then they can get a nice discount on their policy, because they have found that those things help when you have a storm. So if you have those things, Shawn, and your viewers, put them up in the event that a storm is coming, because they have found to make significant difference. Then there are other things like the shape of the roof. If the roof has more angles than just your typical, up and down, like I call it like a steeple, like what we call a gable roof. A gable roof is something that has 2 sides to it, kind of up and down. It's easier for the wind to kind of get underneath the gables and lift that roof off. Where a hip roof has more angles than just the 2. And so the hip roof, it's harder for the wind to actually come and lift that off. Well, if they have a hip roof, they get a little discount on that. Wow. Things like how the roof is actually attached to the wall. So the roof to wall attachment. And that's where you were talking about, you can just have nails, you can have a wrap, something that wraps around, you can have a clip, you can have a double wrap. And so the double wraps, for example, is stronger than just having nails in terms of holding your roof, securing your roof to the wall. So that's getting a little technical, and that's why we probably don't talk about it a lot. But those are the things that they're actually looking for on the wind mitigation. The other piece, as I think I'll just mention real quick on the wind mitigation, is the actual roof. Is it a Florida Building Code approved roof?
Yeah, very important.
Very important. And they get credit for that, because a Florida Building Code approved roof, which usually the code is measured based upon the 1994 code. It's a little bit stronger than what it was. Just meeting that code lets the insurance company know that your roof is built to a certain level of strength and protection, and you get credit for that. So those 2 are really good inspections that will help them. In most cases, they're going to save money as a result of the features that their home has.
So let me ask you something on those 4-point inspection and wind mitigation. So once someone get an inspection done, how long is that report good for?
That's another great question. The 4-point is the one that has a little bit more limited time. It's usually good for 12 months.
Okay.
And so keep it on file. And if you have it and it's 2 years old, it can still be helpful knowing what you had 2 years ago. But if you're trying to get new insurance, you're going to need to get a new 4-point inspection if it's over 12 months old. The reasons are obvious, Shawn. Things can change. They want to know the condition. They want to know, the life expectancy of those 4 items. And so it can change between, now and 12 months later. So that's why they want to get a current picture. On the wind mitigation features, however, those are more long-term. And so the wind mitigation inspection, usually they'll allow for 5 years. The only reason why there was some limitation on it is because they changed the burden of proof. They changed what it needed to have and what the inspection needed to have in order to prove the mitigation features. Because that changed, they have to go with the more later mitigation reports. And so those most companies only allow back to 5 years on that one.
Okay, got you. So I have another good question for you, because I know our audience here, they want to know also. I get this question a lot of times. So when I'm getting an insurance, as a buyer, I'm buying a home. So there's a replacement cost and also there is a content. So can you just kind of give an insight on that? So how can someone, maybe, of course the replacement cost is replacement cost, we cannot change that. The content, how can they get a different kind of insurance? Maybe some insurance will be effective, little bit, money savings, and some can be like more quality, maybe a little bit expensive, but the discount, whatever the hurricane, discount and all the stuff. So can you just work on, talk about those numbers a little bit?
Yeah, Shawn, that's another good one. We get that type of discussion every day. So you're right on with your questions. And there's two things I want to touch on there that I think addresses your question. One is in regards to the contents of your home, so your personal property, and then the other one is regarding the building, the replacement cost of the building. How much does it take to replace your building? How much should I insure my building for? Because obviously the premium is based upon that. The more coverage you have on your building, the more you're going to pay for the insurance, right? So let's touch base on the personal property first, which I think is one of the things you were asking about. On the personal property, so just for clarity, we're talking about here your clothing, your TV, your stereo, your jewelry, all of your personal belongings, essentially. That is a part of the homeowner's policy. It doesn't only cover your building, it also covers your personal property. And what is happening, Shawn, is that there's an option. The standard policy comes with where it pays for the depreciated value of your items at the time of the loss. So for example, you have a TV, let's say you bought it, 5 years ago. That TV, let's say you bought it for, $800, right? That same TV today, 5 years later, might only be worth $200 or $300. And so in the event that you have a claim, then they're going to pay you the $200 or $300 for that TV, right? I use TV as an example, but if you have the basic policy and it pays the depreciated value of your items, it does that for all of your personal property items.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, if you there's an option that is available that you can buy, which is called replacement cost on contents. And what that option does is, so it's enhanced coverage, where it provides to, in the same claim, that they will pay you enough to go and buy a new one of like kind. So using my example with the TV, Shawn, you bought that TV 5 years ago for $800, and you have a loss on that TV, damaged by fire, it was stolen, or hurricane damage, whatever the case might be, and now you're going to replace it. They'll pay you the $800, or even if it takes more for you to now replace of like kind. So that's with the replacement cost option. And what's happening now, Shawn, is we see more and more people actually opting to go with the depreciated value because premiums are going up. Yeah. So that is one way that they can lower their premiums, by reducing the coverage on their personal property. Is that helpful?
Oh, 100%. Because a lot of time, especially the first-time home buyer, they don't have a lot of details about the insurance. So, and sometimes the budget is, so this is the reason I brought the question, because this is the, reducing that, they can save some money,
Correct.
You're talking about it on a yearly basis, so
in some cases, Shawn, $1,000.
Yeah.
In some cases, $500 or $600. Yeah. It varies from one carrier to the other, but yes, it's significant now. And, it can make a difference between, your monthly payment, if you're including your insurance and your mortgage and so on. So yes, we do see that. The other thing that in regards to replacement costs, that's very important also, is how much to cover your building for. That's what the insurance companies look at. That's what you want to look at as a homeowner, is if you do have a loss, right? You have a total loss.
Yeah.
What would it take to replace my property? What would it take to replace my building if it were totally destroyed? And so in most cases, we don't base it upon the market value of the property. The market value includes the land value. The market value includes the market, right? Right now, the market is of such where, it's a seller's market right now, right? So values are going up. And so does that represent actually what it would take to replace the building? It may, and it may not. Mm-hmm. So what we look at is not the market, but what would it take to replace the building? And then we work with the client to kind of, I remember doing my own home, Shawn. I struggled with how much should I insure it for? Because, we have these programs, these fancy programs that companies have come up with to help us to estimate the replacement cost of a building. But the big word there is estimate.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows exactly what that's going to take. I remember in Hurricane Wilma just a few years ago, when was that, 2005?
Yeah.
The construction costs went up significantly. It was a time that real estate was kind of in a boom. There was a lot of new construction going on there. We had that Chinese wall problem with construction. And I remember, the cost of rebuilding a home skyrocketed, especially during the time where there was a catastrophe and there was a big need on that. So, how do you know how much is enough? So that's a very important number to work with. And then I ended up on my own home going a little bit higher than kind of what it took. You don't want to go too high, because if you go too high, you're going to pay higher premiums. And the truth is, if you go way higher and something happens to your home, the insurance company is not going to pay you more than what it takes to replace your home, right? So you don't want to go too high, but then you don't want to go too low either, because if you go too low, then you might have to come out of pocket to actually replace your home in the event that there is a total damage. So that's one where it clearly affects the premium and it clearly affects the coverage. That's something that I think they should work with your agent, kind of get involved in that. The information is only as good as the information that we put in. So if the more that I can find out about the home, what type of floors does it have? Shawn, what's the build out like? Like you look at homes on a regular basis. You could probably tell me, for example, this home, based upon the features and the build out that you see, it costs a whole lot more to replace than this home that just has basic stuff, your carpeting and blah, 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 blah. That principle is what we're looking at. So what's the build out like on the inside? What features, what type of construction, what type of material do they use? And, obviously the marble floors and the granite countertops and the wood cabinets and the crown molding and the extra special purpose rooms and so on, maybe having special ceilings and so on.
Yeah.
All those things costs more to replace.
Yeah.
And so the more that we can get that type of information, it would help somebody to actually get the right amount of coverage. Sometimes what I see out there in the marketplace is people just slap as low as they can do to get on there.
Yeah.
And that can have ramifications down the road in the event that there is a total loss.
Yeah.
And so that's another one of the replacement cost issues that comes up.
Yeah. So the other question I have, so a consumer comes to you and then buying a home. Now, do you check with different insurance companies who give the one best for them regarding all aspects? It's not about the how much they have to pay, but also the quality of the insurance, the hurricane deductible and all the stuff. So how do you do that? How many company normally you go through and so?
Shawn, right on. And I'm right there with you. I know you, and I know that we're alike in this. The first thing that I would highly encourage people to do is to look at the who they're working with. Are they working with a professional like Shawn? And like I would like to say for myself, but I'm not here to toot my horn. But in other words, who are you working with? That's the first thing. Are they trustworthy? Can they really help you? Do they even care about you? Are you a number to them? Are you real to them? Are you like Shawn, like what you're doing today is an example of who you are and what you represent. You're about adding value to people. You're about adding value to the community. You're about educating people. You're about doing the right thing. And so it starts there with insurance too. In every field, you have the good and you have the not so good. And so I think the first thing you have to start with is who, right? And that's the person, what they bring, the credibility, and so on. Yes, the other thing I think is a good thing to do is to shop with an independent insurance agent. An independent insurance agent does have multi-carrier relationships. They're not stuck with any one company and their particular guidelines. And when I say that, I have to tell you, I don't knock the companies that only have one. There are companies out there that are exclusive. They only represent one company and that's it. And I don't knock them, because there are times where I even refer my clients to them, because I happen to know that in a particular situation, they have a really good option for you. So you should go there. But the benefit of going with an independent agent is that they don't have to try and fit everything into one size. And so we can find the best company, the best price, the best product. We can then also customize it to the consumer's liking. So that's one of the big advantages of going with an independent agent, so that they can shop the market for them and that they can be the homeowner's best advocate. They're not subject to any one carrier restriction. So I hope that's helpful.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So it makes sense, because when it comes to, insurance especially, it's not like a one size, will fit for everyone. Everyone has a different, and we probably in another video, we're going to go through with the insurance for the investors, or insurance for, like, there's a different kind of, so.
Correct.
Yeah. Now on this one, we actually, giving the information to the homeowners who are already living in the property. Maybe they want to upgrade their insurance policy, or want to save some money, keeping the same quality insurance, or a buyer who is buying a property and have some questions. For our audience, I like to let you know that any question you have, you can always comment. You're watching us right now in the YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, wherever, or Instagram. Just make a comment. We are Mr. Robin and myself, my team, we are happy. We're glad to reach out to you with any question you have, as soon as possible. So definitely make some comment. Let us know your thought about, bringing this for you, the different knowledge-based video, what really going to help you on a day-to-day life. And as you know, again, Robin is doing business for a long time, almost 4 decades. That's amazing. And
where did the time go, Shawn?
Yeah, and then your own company, you are celebrating 25th year, so that's amazing. So Robin, again, thank you very much. You did provide tons of great valuable information, and then we definitely like to see you back here, some other kind of insurance knowledge. So thank you very much. Thanks for joining us today at the Pro Advice.
My pleasure. Thank you, Shawn. It's good to be here with you.
Okay. See you guys next week with another episode of Pro Advice. Take care. Let's rock the week.